Of course, yesterday was a beautiful 14 degrees and today it's snowing, but this is what we're starting today. Under here, we're in real bad shape. We're rusting through all over the place, barely even attached anywhere here. So this is all gonna be fixed. Arguably the worst part would be my snapped shackle though. That is, oh buddy, she's a pretzel. But to start off this project, I gotta do a bumper along the back because I'm integrating a hitch receiver into my new cross base I'm gonna do in the frame. So I'm gonna put the bumper in first so I can cut the hole in the right place and get everything lined up. Because I'm cutting out part of the old frame, the factory frame, even though it is rusted and I'm putting new, probably much stronger steel in, the legality is a little questionable. I couldn't find anything online telling me whether this was illegal, how much or even at all you can modify your frame and keep your truck street legal. We're just going for it. If I get in shit, I get in shit. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So now obviously this hitch isn't for any heavy towing. It's gonna be like a tow hook, probably a license plate holder because I didn't put a license plate holder on this bumper. As with any DIY home fabrication project, you're gonna want to start this off by going online, finding a bunch of pictures of trucks you like a fuck of a lot more than your own, coming up with a bunch of inspiration from a bunch of different bumpers, smashing them all together, and inevitably just ending up with something a lot simpler that you can actually pull off and it's not this crazy elaborate design. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with my CAD, cardboard aided design. We're doing it out of, actually I planned ahead and did it out of 4-inch, 2-inch, 4-inch, 1-inch strips because you can buy 4-inch, 2-inch, where's my 1-inch strips. So all I have to do is cut the angles into everything, not the length. So I don't have to worry about doing a, however long this is, like almost 3, maybe 4 foot long straight line. They're already done for me. Cut the angles, weld it together, cut a hole in the middle, just like that. That's how it's done in the steel too. So when I show you this on the truck, you're gonna see how much higher this hitch receiver is than regular hitch receivers. Now that I'm holding it up against the truck, you can see there's an immediate difference. Stock bumper wraps all the way around those corners. Probably gonna come out a little bit further from the bumper as well. But there's gonna be a lot more low profile. Angle gives it higher clearance. And you can see how much higher that hitch is gonna be. So it's up more where this old spare tire cross brace is, but that's obviously going to be replaced with my 2x1 tube steel right across there. Hitch receiver in the middle, cross braced up in there. So this will be able to slide on and off over top of the hitch receiver and still be mountable to the frame. Using these brackets in here, this can still be taken on and off, replaced, whatever. Cross brace stays in there, nice and strong, connected right to the frame. Alright, so long as I don't royally fuck this up, that's what's going to end up looking like. Let's get measuring, cutting, welding. I lost my original drawn out design, so I had to take measurements off of my CAD file again. If anybody wants this, now's your chance to screenshot and try and decipher my hieroglyphics. But I put it all on the steel here. The edges line up. Those line up. Obviously this will be flipped around. Those line up. So I'm going to cut these out. And then next thing I got to make is the inside structure that helps hold the shape and mount to the truck. All right, it's time to throw on the safety squints and start cutting. So if I wasn't the best, this is where you would find out if you mess something up. Now I'm going to cut this out, but I don't want straight up 90-degree angles here since the receiver is rounded. I'm gonna drill holes in the corners and then connect it with the angle grinder. Cut 4 duplicate brackets with some material removed for reduced weight. These are just going to be for added structural rigidity. They are a little bit thinner than the material I'm going to use to mount it to the truck, but there's going to be 4 of them. And then these will have a little bit of extra material over here, and that's going to be what's used to mount the bumper to the truck. All right, so that's pretty much all of the bumper cut out. So I cleaned all the scale off of everything. This is all ready to weld now, but I'm not. My wrist is killing me. I'm going to take a break and then tack all this together. All right, we're back from a break. Forearm is killing me from all that grinding. Now it's just a matter of wiping everything down, make sure it's all clean of all contaminants, and then we can start tacking it together. And I'll throw it on the tripod and we'll do a time lapse once I start welding. So got it all tacked together. I just cut out these end plates here. This is what's going to cap the inside or outside of the frame. It's also going to be welded into the bottom here where the bolts will go. Those are held in with just magnets right now. Those are going to be the last couple tacks, and we'll be able to hold up to the truck and make sure it still fits. That's the last of it tacked in. It's all more or less one piece now. Obviously not finished welded, but now we can put it up against the truck, see how she fits. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. This one. Beautiful. Fits perfect, slides right over. Just cut out the end caps. Go right in there. I'm gonna do them flush just so I don't end up running out of room on the sides, just like that. These are gonna be the last couple tacks of the day. Finish this up tomorrow. Everything's tacked. So today's gonna be a whole lot more welding. I'm gonna start with like those small 1-inch sections where I can do one solid weld and complete a section without warping anything. And then I'll move on to the areas that I need to stitch so that I can spread the heat out and stitch a little bit at this end and then stitch a little bit at this end, stitch in the middle, and then back to this end and back to this end. And I'm also gonna clamp some square stock onto here, or some rectangle tube to try and mitigate some warpage. Because otherwise, if I was just blasted all the way down, as it was to cool at different speeds and throughout it would twist. By the time I went to put it on the truck, it'd be a completely different shape. So I'm gonna try and spread the heat out to make sure nothing warps. Hopefully it still looks the same when we're done. So this is when we're gonna know if I warped the hell of this or not. I had a lot more clamps on here, but let's just release this one, and if there's a big gap, wow, that's actually pretty good. Nailed it. Oh, that is what we like to see. That is super straight. Okay, so it took a lot longer, but that was definitely the way to go, stitching like 1/2 inch at a time. Alright, so it's now Tuesday of working on my weekend project, but we made pretty good progress. This is what we're working with. Once it's ground down and everything's fit and finished, everything on the edge is fine, I am going to cap these ends with like a little piece of 1-inch steel, just so it'll fit in there. So that's all going to be ground smooth, so you'll never even be able to tell that these were different pieces of metal. Yeah, it's just going to be a whole lot of grinding today. And that's all the edges ground out. I had some low spots left along primarily this big long edge here, where there's like some low spots in the weld, which I could have ground those out, but really I'm honestly not too worried about it. once it's painted with bed liner type stuff, you won't even notice that. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna hit it with a palm sander quick, just to give it a more consistent finish, and see if there's any low spots or anything on it. So before I totally forget, I'm gonna get the last few end plates on there. Everything else is ground down. Did a little bit of sanding. I might still get higher grit, or I guess technically a lower grit. Take a little bit more off, but for now, let's get these end plates on. I cut it a little short, but I should be able to fill those gaps and grind it down, so. Here we have it compared to the original CAD file. So even though I undershot the cut a little bit, managed to fill that and grind it down. End cap looks awesome, and the bumper's all one piece. So because this project's now poured out past the weekend, I'm only able to work on it like bit by bit after work. So this is now gonna go probably until next weekend. I'll still be working on this, but there'll be more to come next weekend as well. We're gonna just keep cracking. So I've been working off camera for a little bit now, just to save you more time lapse of angle grinding. I cut out end plates for here, plates for inside the frame to, sandwich it with the bolt like that. And then I also have little 90-degree pieces. These were actually just scrap trimmings that I cleaned up, and those will go inside there to gusset this. So that's going to sit on the bottom of the frame outsides. And once this is done, I'll be able to drill some holes there, and this bumper will be fully fastened to the frame. I can get cracking on the next project. Nothing too crazy here, just gotta get it tacked in place, make sure it doesn't go anywhere, get all the pieces in together before final welding. Alright, that should be enough to hold it. Then we'll get the gussets in there where they need to be, and we can hold it up against the truck again. Alright, so I've been working ahead. Let's get you caught up. So I sanded the whole bumper to a satin finish. Had to get a lower grit. I think I went with 80 grit to knock this down a little bit more. Fully welded this bottom plate on. My dad came by to help me take the bed off, so I was able to mark and drill where these holes needed to be. The plates weren't welded on exactly evenly, so this one ended up a little bit closer to the end of the plate than this one, but my solution is going to be to measure from here to the back of the hole, and then duplicate it on this side, cut, and make them both slotted, so it'll look the same even though they're both technically a little bit off. Once those holes are slotted though, that's a wrap for this bumper project. It's gonna get painted at the same time as I paint the cross brace I'm doing to the frame. So I guess next time you're gonna see this is fully installed, painted, cut to the B-roll.